Astrologists proclaim a week of installation messages outside the control of NSA. And here is instruction how to do this super quickly and easily. First, let's create a virtual machine. Of course, you know many scary abbreviations like GCP and AWS. I also knew them but forgot. So let's use the orthodox Hetzner. Especially after 7 years of use, I finally remembered how to spell its name. It would be shame not show off such unique knowledge. Choose the Ubuntu version that suits your taste. I prefer the spicy taste of 24, but 22 will also be fine if you don't like the smell of new car. Add a pinch of IPv4 and a piece of IPv6 to complement the sharp aroma of Nginx, and throw in a spoonful of SSH keys. Done.
Next, you will need to dig out all domain from storage. The older, the better, but don't overdo this. You could skip using domain and stick to the IP, but unfortunately you wouldn't be able to set up certificate. So let's set A and AA records. Knowing the IPv6 subnet will make this easy.
Now dive into the GitHub instruction and install Docker and Docker Compose. There was a time when I thought the Docker Compose had to be installed as a separate script. However, someone appeared and explained that only dinosaurs like me do that, and everyone else uses plugin, making setup even easier. Prepare certificates for use in reverse proxy. Thanks to Let's Encrypt codes, there is no need to create self-signed certificates or buy something that regular person can live without, and believe me or not faint. You think you haven't even started setting up the server? Actually, we're already on home stage. Don't worry, by the end you might even understand what you are setting up. Let's create a folder for Docker Compose file and, believe me or not, place it there. Start with configuring internal network and the server itself. To generate the config, run Docker Compose with couple of flags and try to start the server using Docker Compose app. Since I forwarded the port, I can check out the running server on port 8008. Add Nginx. I created folder etc Nginx docker config and put prepared Nginx config there. At this stage, you will need only the path with first location for routing requests to Synapse server itself. If you're setting up server for first time, don't copy everything mindlessly. Add paths bit by bit, giving the opportunity to make mistakes, rage quit, and experience a wave of delightful emotions. In a unique case, you might even figure out what's going on there. Fortunately, I didn't. That's why I'm teaching. I hope I don't need to explain that path to certificates and domain need changing. Now copy the Nginx service into the Docker Compose file and restart it. Done. Mine is already working. How about yours? You can check it via this URL. Next part is optional, but I think it's useful to know. You can create an admin by entering Synapse container and using command with a not so informative name register new matrix user. Additionally, I recommend taking another 70 seconds to copy the systemd unit from the repo for your engineering barrel. After reloading the daemons config and launching the server via systemd, you spare yourself the need to turn on the server after every reboot. Check if it works. Let's enable registration capabilities on the server even without CAPTCHA. There is directive for that. As you can see, I can register on my server and even send message to myself. Miracles! It's turned out Messenger can do that. If you are a Facebook user, you might be surprised that no NSA employee can read this message. Yes, this also happens. If you have any question about setup, feel free to ask them in the comments or join my Matrix server at atpmatrix.com. It even has a web client now. Surprisingly, the GitHub instruction don't end here, but this video does. That means that we have exciting story ahead about what else can be done with this server.